Yo, what is good, everybody? I want to welcome y'all back to another episode of Combat Conversations, and I am your boy AG, and it is good to be back on the mic with my man DB. DB, what's going on with it, baby?
What's good with you, bro? And hell yes, it is good to be back on Combat Conversations, bro. I cannot wait to get into what we're going to talk about.
I just got one thing to say. Shout out to Thin Lizzy, because the boys are back in town, you heard me? I was probably old and lame as fuck, but I just, for some reason, it felt appropriate to say.
Bro, we've been on that PBC inactivity type shit.
Did we? Hey, cuz ain't no bullshit, bro. No bullshit. Calm down, bro. Did we or did we not just literally have the biggest PBC moment in all of boxing podcast history? Like for real. Like it's almost like PBC tries to pull a wool over your eyes and make you think that all these is active, bro. Like when PBC got a list of, I think, 19 fighters that haven't fought since like 22, and the shit's crazy because here we are in 24. And for us, bro, we just pulled a PBC stint that I don't ever want that to happen again, bro. We gotta get on our Matchroom shit, bro. We gotta get on our Matchroom shit.
No.
Hey, Matchroom versus Queensberry. I mean, are the Saudis saving boxing or what? Shout out.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Oh my goodness, bro.
The Saudis, look, they took over golf. We know what they did with
that.
Liv
They
golf.
did. Shout out to Liv too,
bro. And now
John Rahm, holla at my boy.
And now they are taking over boxing, and they are saving boxing one fight at a time, bro.
One fight at a time, and it's crazy because since our last fight, it seemed like we on our Adrian Broner shit right now, like Keith one-time Thurman, bro. When it's unreal with the amount of material that we about to unfold. I mean, we gonna go dissect it piece by piece, but the amount is just wow. We can't get on that PBC shit. We gotta stay on that. We gotta stay on that consistency.
No. I agree. Absolutely.
No doubt. We were
gone for a while, but now we're back and we're here to stay. And, jokes aside, bro, 2023 was a hell of a year for boxing. I could not be more happier as a boxing fan and as a combat sports fan, bro. So, I know we joke about it and, we like to laugh and have a good time, but bro, I'm so glad after the year that 2023 had, I hope 2024 is just as better, bro.
Sipping on that yak while we getting to the back. Listening to the last episode, I had to catch up on us because you know what I'm saying. It's like when your favorite fighter hasn't fought in 18 months, it kind of you might go back and watch some old shit on YouTube or something like that. So I was listening back to our last episode, and basically we were talking about the hypotheticals, and that goes to show you how where 23 has brought us, because the last episode we rocking with, we over here, it was a dream episode. We were talking about a lot of hypotheticals. And the main hypothetical for that week was Tank versus Ryan Garcia. That wasn't even official, but that was the main entree that was kind of floating in front of our face. And we had a couple other fights that we were flirting with the T.O. and Josh Taylor. Mm-hmm. Here we are sitting January 24. And we'll go through a little list. I'm going to go through a medium list. I can't say a small list because I might explode here. But I'm probably missing a couple too. So Tank and Ryan actually wind up coming together and duking that shit out. T.O. and Josh Taylor happened. Haney stepped up and fought Loma and Regis. We had Fury get shocked by Ngannou on some knockdown shit, which should have went either way. We're going to talk about that a little bit. I mean, is Anthony Joshua back on the rise? Is he went gatekeeper status and all of a sudden now he's trying to come back in the other door?
Real quick, bro. I like what I see from AJ. I do. I like what I saw. Look, at one point we were dogging AJ, and rightfully so, because it's like I said on Twitter, nobody, because he had talked about how he broke Valin's eye socket, broke his nose, how he ended Dillian White's career with that uppercut. He's doing all this shit, right? And I'm like, look, ain't nobody questioning AJ's ability to send someone into the shadow realm. Yeah, exactly. But bro, he went through so many trainers, like sorority girls going through maxi pads or some shit like that, bro. And then on top of that, after he got schooled by Usyk in the second fight, old buddy had a breakdown and talking about how he's cut from the same cloth as Jack Dempsey and everybody else. And I mean, I remember looking over at you and you was like, cuz my respect for AJ is going down by the second. The longer he's on this mic, the more my respect is going down. It was bad.
It was some Wolf of Wall Street shit. Like, the Stipes, that shit was plummeting. And Jordan Belfort and everybody, fucking Matthew McConaughey just looking at the motherfucker.
But you know what? Look, I like what I've seen from him, and I think he's doing the right things to get back into that heavyweight title championship picture. So yes, I do like what I see from AJ. His performance on Day of Reckoning, which you alluded to earlier, we're going to talk about that later on in the show. That was the best he's looked in a minute, and I loved it.
Yeah, no doubt.
So, I mean, hats off to AJ, you know.
Giving him his early flowers, I see that.
Yeah, so, I didn't mean to cut you off, but, I did want to go over that.
Because we still in the middle of the train. I mean, and none of these fights are in order in which they happen. I'm just, like I said, this is my little medium list that I'm going through here. And the fight that we stopped talking about because it wasn't gonna happen, Bud and Spence. Now, before you get on another AJ train, let me finish this list, bro.
Listen,
bro. I knew this shit was gonna happen.
Bro. Hey, look. I'm not gonna go on no train. I'm not gonna go on no rant or anything. But I do owe an apology because on one of the earlier episodes, I did say that, bro. I think I made a bet with you. I was like, I bet Jones and Ngannou is going to happen way before Spence and Crawford did, and obviously that didn't fucking happen. So, hey, shout out to Spence, shout out to Crawford, but hey, that's it.
And now what's funny is hindsight. It seems like Francis and John Jones is farther away from happening than ever, farther than Bud and Spence ever was. Like,
yeah, you ain't kidding, bro.
Okay, Canelo came back, he beat Jamal. You got Jermell. Jamal came back versus Jose Benavidez. Benavidez then fought Caleb Plant and Boo Boo. Wilder came back on the Day of Reckoning. Bivol came back. Jai Opetaia is on the card. You got Better BF Smith. That was recent. We could shake that up. Shakur putting everybody to sleep.
Not in a good way.
Not in a touche. Not in a good way. And that's just the boxing aspect. In the UFC, the Volkan Islam was actually supposed to happen the week of, our last little sighting, the last PBC sighting out there with AB in one time, and Andy Ruiz, and we could say Spence and even Bud and them with the rematch. Anyway, right. Volkan Islam didn't happen twice. John Jones then came back. Izzy Pereira 2 done happened. Who else? Sugar Show doing his thing. It's crazy how much has transpired over the combat scene and combat conversations in 23. And Tom Aspinall, I mean, my man's is real.
Bro, he wants all the smoke.
Yeah.
All of it.
I had a little something on that one because I think you had stake in Pulev. What's his name? Not Pulev. I know I knew I was saying it wrong because I was thinking of your boy that fought Dillian White, and I was laughing about Dillian White earlier when you mentioned him. But all that has transpired literally within the past 12 months, and just to dice it up and dissect it in any way is going to be massive. So, out of all that being said, let's rewind it all the way back and take it back to the PBC and back where we pick up where we kind of left off with Tank and Ryan Garcia. Two young guys with the O's on the line with no belt, because we talked about the catch weight and the Mickey Mouse belt and all that shit. Like, I'm just glad that they stepped up and put it all on the line for us. And essentially, I'm gonna get into Ryan Garcia's ass in a bit.
I mean, look, I get it. You're gonna get into him here in a little bit, but look, I mean, like you just said, shout out to them because they were two young, prime, undefeated fighters with, and like you said it a million times before, there's nothing really on the line. That Reggie belt didn't mean shit at the time. Obviously, with Haney vacating, now Tank is an email champ and blah, blah, blah. We'll talk about that later. But at that time, you had Garcia, Tank, two young, prime, undefeated fighters. doing their thing, putting their O's on the line. So, hey, shout out to them for that.
And I'm feeling everything you said, but here's my problem with Ryan Garcia and kind of what had transpired was you come out wild round one, kind of a little bit. I think we got Ryan Garcia round one. A lot of us did, but then round two, when he gets a little, he wants to step out and thinks that he's a little, Tank's eating it a little bit. That's when he got caught, and then I think that's when I think he had to feel that power. Sometimes timing is everything, but I just think we do naturally know Tank has weight for his power for his weight, and he was shook after round two. So as the fight's going on, you could see the timidness and Tank starting to take advantage, and then when he gets caught with that body shot, like I like the little somebody had a meme out there where like this is what's gonna happen to Ryan Garcia, and sure enough, this man gets hit with a left-hand body shot that, to all accounts, don't look like the most severe body shot we've ever seen.
Not at all. No, not
at all. We have seen way more severe body shots than that.
But I mean,
and yet,
then again,
placement means everything. And it was perfect. But my problem with Ryan Garcia on that is you take your knee. I'm cool with that. Reset. But the way you got up on 10 like that, I'm not quite sure what the motive was. Was you hurt that bad and you didn't want to continue? He might have even explained this and I just kind of missed it. But I'm not so sure why he just, if you can't continue, it is what it is. But that seemed like a formal, I'm good. The check cashed. I showed up and I'm good. I mean, I don't know what else to make of that.
We don't want to scream corruption, but I mean,
no, and even then, I don't. Be honest, what I saw. Look, we watch plenty enough combat sports, bro, especially boxing. We know when something may scream corruption, but I'll be honest, what I saw from Ryan Garcia just screamed quit.
Oh yeah, I agree. I wasn't, implying that there was corruption or anything like that, but. I don't know, bro. Like you said, round one, Ryan looked good. Then he gets caught, and then it's downhill. And now, granted, before he gets hit with that body shot, he was starting to get his confidence back. It almost looked like he was about to come back. He
was a little bit.
But then, you said it. He gets hit, perfect placement. Gets hit with that body shot, takes the knee, and that's it. That's a wrap. It's done. It's over. But how Ryan has been afterwards, bro, like, I don't like that. That was all
she wrote.
I don't like that. In his comeback fight, he didn't look good. There was minor improvements. I get it. He got the knockout win. Cool, great. But, it still looked like the same old Ryan Garcia of old. Like, I didn't see any improvements. I didn't see any, like, he had a half-assed Philly shell going on, like, and then with the whole thing with Devin Haney talking about how he lost his shot, like, bro, the fact that you think, like, the best thing that happened to him was losing a Tank, like, somehow he thinks he's A-side and all that shit. Like, bro, I just don't like how Ryan has carried himself
since that L. Since that quit.
Since that L.
I mean, that was not a good L, bro. And I think we've alluded to this before, and I know I stand on it. You can walk out of a ring with a loss and still gain respect and fans walking out. Like, you can walk out with more fans and respect than what you walked in after taking an L. It can happen. We have seen it, and that was not one of them moments. Like, I think Ryan Garcia's stock went down drastically. There's fashions in which you win and lose. That fashion to me was not a good look.
Look, we're gonna talk about it later on in the show, but Jermell Charlo was the same way, bro. I'm still pissed off at Mel because I liked it. Listen, I liked what he did prior to the Canelo payday. I liked how he was able to come back against Castaño, because both me and you thought he lost that first fight. Comes back, takes care of business, becomes undisputed. Like, he was doing all the necessary things, all of the right things to get a Canelo payday. And it's like, that's all it was. It was just a paycheck. Like, you know, he's talking about Lions only. Bro, he was like a fucking kitten in that shit. Like, it was pathetic. Like, I literally
He just showed up.
Look, I was
a little upset too, not gonna lie. I mean, I still picked Canelo because we did debate about it, even though we wasn't on the mic with it. We did talk about it. I'm very disappointed in what Mel brought to. Very, very disappointed.
Look, bro, I mean, I'm not afraid to admit when I'm wrong, but like, bro, I'm mad because Mel, he made me look like I literally didn't know shit about boxing. Like,
shit, Mel made himself look like he didn't know shit about boxing up in there. Like, I mean, he had his moments, but I'm just saying, like, Mel just showed up.
But we'll talk about that later.
That was one of the moments.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to get sidetracked.
It's so much. You keep delving off on the side pieces. I mean,
my bad.
But I get where you're going. No. I'm just saying that's how good the meal is. So, I mean, you know, so we could finish up on Tank and Rock. I mean, hopefully, just slide on into the next one. So Tio's in the mix. I mean, you know, he's up at 140. He say he the man. He hold a lineal. Then you got Devin Haney step up. I mean, all right, back it up a bit. Tio and Josh Taylor actually did happen, which was another fight we flirted with. They was actually talking about that before the next fights will kind of wind up happening after the fact anyway. But Tio, Josh Taylor, we both talked about both of them coming off of terrible performances going into that fight. Tio looking in the camera talking about, do I still got it? But then the next they're going to talk about, I know what a red light look like. Man's one of the best. He could win an Oscar. He's probably the best actor in boxing. We need to have a couple awards of that at the end of the year. Have our own awards. Best actors in boxing. Who put on the front and didn't do what they say they did, or put on just said some yak shit. But he's talking about that. He comes up with a bad performance. Josh Taylor off of Catterall, bad performance. But yet, when they fight each other, somebody got to look good. Somebody got to look bad again, I guess. I don't know. Maybe both could look good and take an L. Somebody take an L. But Tio comes out on top. How did Tio look? I mean, is Tio back one of the top dogs at 140? Or is Haney really that dude after beating Loma and Regis?
I still think it's Haney. I do. And here's why. I mean, look, you know, like you just said, both Tio and Josh Taylor were coming off terrible performances. Okay, both me and you thought he lost to Catterall. The whole world thought Catterall should have been undisputed champion. Right?
Yeah.
And
I did. I ain't the whole world, but I know I did.
And since the Lomachenko fight, I mean, you know, Tio, he wants to get on Twitter talking, you know, and his fans want to talk about how, you know, people are, you know, being too hard on Tio, you know, disrespect him. Like,
being too hard on Tio.
Tio has not given us, again, before Josh Taylor, Tio has not given us anything to make us think that he is, and make no mistake about it, Tio's talented. I'm not saying he's not.
Cool. He's nice.
He's nice.
Tio. On a talent level.
But
not on a personality level.
But he didn't show anything that makes us think, you know what? Tio's that dude at 140. Okay? He got the break speed off him by Kambosos. In his comeback
Shout out Kambosos.
In his comeback fight after Kambosos, you know, kind of similar to what Ryan Garcia went through, you know, after Tank. Like, okay,
gotta build himself back up.
Like, okay, cool. He got the knockdown, He got the knockout, but it's like, again, he didn't show any major improvements. And then after that, he arguably loses to Sandor Martin. So
shout out Sandor, who be fighting in clubs too. He be doing his thing.
And then it's like you look at Josh Taylor, and not only did he arguably lose, I think he lost. There is no arguing about it with me, but I can't speak for everybody else. He did arguably lose to Jack Catterall.
Oh, yeah.
And he came off an extremely long layoff. 15 months, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So, you know, and you alluded to it earlier, you know, somebody's got to look good. somebody's got to look bad, and it happened to work out in Tio's favor. So I like what I saw from Tio. He did look good, kind of like what I said earlier about AJ. For the longest time, he wasn't giving us, as far as the eye test went, he wasn't giving us something to look at that made us say, you know what, AJ is still that dude at heavyweight. He is still a top 3, top 2 heavyweight, whatever you want to say. That's what Tio was doing. He wasn't giving us any material to make us think, you know what, the Takeover is still that dude. Tio is still that dude. Not saying he can't get back there, but before Josh Taylor, he wasn't doing that. And when you look at Devin Haney, okay,
he had a tough fight with Loma, I think I had Loma up around. So that's another one we got to talk about. Like, we consider Loma maybe a little stiffer competition than Josh Taylor, but I still had Loma eking out a victory in that fight.
I agree. I agree. But when you look at his 2 fights with Kambosos, obviously he dominated all 24 rounds. I don't really recall Kambosos really winning a round. Maybe won 1 or 2, but nobody really cares about that.
2 or 3 out of 24, if that.
And then he gives Lomachenko the opportunity for undisputed, and like you said, you thought he won. Originally, I thought he won, but I'm not gonna lie, I rewatched the fight, and I can understand why some people thought Haney won. And then, and I know this hurts your show a little bit, goes up to 140 and fights who me and you both thought was the man at 140 pounds, because we both thought that Regis did beat Josh Taylor. And all
right, next topic, Bud and Spence. Just what we was.
My bad, bro.
You know, like you said, it's gonna hurt the feelings. I ain't want to talk about that one, so I'm on to. We was gonna be like, saying next topic already. Move on. Nah, man. Look, man. I was ready for a good fight. I think we were all ready for a good fight, and just like you said, for who I thought was the man at 140. But man, Devin Haney just put on a performance, and Regis couldn't handle him at all. Regis just was not ready. Whatever, not on his level. It just, even then, I'm at a kind of loss for words at the performance that I saw from Regis. And Devin Haney, got to give kudos to him, because he stepped up against Loma. Like you said, you go back and rewatch the fight. I had Loma winning the fight 115-113, but you go back and look how many rounds I marked as a swing round. Out of 12, I'm looking at 6 swing rounds. So if I might have had Loma in a round and you had Devin Haney, I can't really argue that, so that's not a robbery in any way, shape, or form. And then he steps it up again, follows it up and fights Regis, and puts on one of those performances that the stock just goes through the roof. So now you got the debate of who was the man at 140. Was it Josh Taylor? Was it Regis? And then now you got the debate, and it's hot as ever right now with Tio and Devin Haney. And then we'll throw Shakur in the mix and Tank in the mix. Mm-hmm. We didn't already talked about Tank. Shakur putting people to sleep. He ain't really had much to talk about. With De Los Santos, he's another one. Just wasn't ready for the moment neither. Didn't step up and press the action at all.
No, not at all. And I'm a big Shakur fan. I know you are too. And that was his worst outing since the Nakatila fight. I know I didn't pronounce his name right.
Yeah, wait. Yeah, it was a while ago. Yeah,
a while ago. But I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. I do think that was a bad night at the office. But nonetheless, he did go in. He did take care of business as far as getting the dub. But I do think Shakur is going to come back better, stronger. I do think his skills are going to be more. I think he's going to go back to the lab, sharpen his tools. And I think we're going to see his best foot forward here in 2024.
I agree with that 100%. So what was funny? The way we kind of piecing this up, because we got an elephant to attack here. You know what I'm saying? Because just what we getting to, we was kind of moving up in weight. Okay, so we was gonna get, like I said, we definitely got to get this Bud and Spence. Right now, we was on the appetizers. Right now, I guess you could finally say we get into the main course meal. But We about to give him Bud Spence. We moving up in weight as we go in potentially this conversation with Combat Conversations. So if we moving up in weight, I got to be absolutely mad at myself for going this fucking long on this episode and not mentioning this man's name. And I feel bad than a motherfucker right now. My man, Inoue, is a motherfucking monster. Okay? And not mentioning his name literally, this long.
Literally.
Yeah.
He's literally a fucking monster.
Yes. I mean, I got to give my man credit. I'm waking up 6 a.m. to watch him, even if I'm fucking off of work that day. It don't even matter. Okay? This man, what he's done going 2 division undisputed within a run of, 13 months? Not even?
It was like a year.
15 months.
And some change.
A year and some change. Like, on some crazy shit. So,
like, it's fucking crazy. Like, and look, I'm not gonna be mad if you have Terrence Crawford as your number 1 pound for pound fighter. Like, I'm not gonna be mad at that.
No,
I get it. I understand it. But well, when you look at the definition of pound for pound, obviously pound for pound's a hypothetical list. It's, if you take 2 fighters, same height, same reach, same weight, both possess the skill sets that make them great as of today, you put them in the ring, what's going to happen? Obviously, we're not going to get that.
A lot of them you're going to get.
No, but like, I feel like Inoue is the closest definition to what pound for pound is, because he's not just moving up in weight and dominating his opposition. A lot of the times he's the smaller fighter and he's dominating the bigger fighter. Mm-hmm. So it just makes you think, what would happen if he's the same height, same weight, same reach, everything? Like, your brain can only fathom, like, the possibilities are endless, like what you think this man can do.
Yeah, he's next level. I ain't gonna lie. That's why, I had to.
And again,
he got to get his shines. Yeah, I can't wait to see him back in the ring again. And he's already talking about getting a fight down so he could be a unification bout or something like that for or defending his undisputed. Like, it's crazy, dude's ready. He's in Canelo mode. Canelo, we kind of know when his fights are coming. It's almost as if you kind of tentatively know his next fight date when after one ends. It's rare that Canelo's been on a good run, consistently fighting 2 times a year for like the last 4 years. So we got to give him that. And he's been on a tremendous run. Inoue is getting on that run. He's fighting 2 times a year. And to me, championship fighters, 2 times a year, I'm good. If every championship fighter on this list we talk about today, in general, champion fighter, between the 4 belts and 17 divisions, all this shit we got, all the stars we got, if they fought 2 times a year, guarantee you that'd be more than enough for us to eat on all year as combat fans.
Absolutely, 100%.
So we know who's pulling their weight, and we know who's not pulling their weight.
But real quick, Inoue, that is my... And I'm glad he got Fighter of the Year. To me, it was between him and Devin Haney. And again, we're going to talk about it here in a second. Terrence Crawford, absolutely 100% deserved Performance of the Year. We'll get into that. But as far as Fighter of the Year, I have absolutely no fucking problem with Inoue taking home that. What he did against Fulton, and then what he did in his last fight, absolutely fantastic. He is the number 1 pound for pound fighter in the world right now.
Yeah, he's legit. And to move on to the Performance of the Year, we 24, we a solid full, 4 years into it, 2020, 21, 22, 23. You got to count 20. So we are full 4 years in the 20 decade. I could say that's probably Performance of the 4 years. So far, Performance of the decade. Still got 6 years left. We got all the way to 2029. Somebody could pop something off between now and 2029. But I got to say, as of right now, that is without a doubt the best performance that I've seen since 2020, and maybe a couple years before that. Now, if I can't think of one right off the bat, this man Bud Crawford stepped in and shut us all up. Even Bud fans, A lot of them still yapping off at the jaws. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just basically saying, like, made us all like, damn.
I mean, look, Terrence Crawford, he took, without a doubt, the biggest fight since Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather, and he took one of the biggest fights in general at 147 and turned it into one of the most one-sided ass whippings in boxing history. Like, it's honestly, it's unbelievable. Like, because me and you, we both talked about it, and we were both obviously we both picked Bud. Like, that there was never any doubt, but
right.
We each thought that it was going to be a 50-50 fight.
No doubt.
Because
I remember
you talking about Spence and how his jab was nice. And at one point, you thought he had one of the better jabs in boxing. And,
if we just not counting the Bud fight, he still does. But I mean, speechless.
Terrence Crawford showed you why he's not just a generational great or one of the all-time greats, but he showed that he truly is one special fighter. And this is, I know we talked about it anyway, moments ago, but regardless, this is the Terrence Bud Crawford era.
Stepping up to the plate, and he been saying. I mean, a lot of fighters be jaw jacking back and forth anyway. So, but I'm just saying, like the way Bud kind of predicted that all too, And I tell you what, I feel like at this moment in time, the last I'm gonna go 2 weeks, Spence finally came out his hole. It's ironic on the timing. I mean, Spence finally come out now. All of a sudden, he got eye surgery. We got the cataract. We got the lazy eye, little shot glaucoma.
I didn't like that. I didn't like that because look.
Now all of a sudden, what's this about a rib injury?
Look, listen. After the Bud fight, look, all praise to Spence for going out on his shield. Okay,
no doubt.
After the fight, you didn't hear a peep from him. And I really respected him for that because he was like, look, I lost to the better man.
And if you remember what he said.
And granted, he still said that in recent tweets, but
he said no excuses. And if I had one, I wouldn't give it to you.
Well, he's giving us a fucking shit ton of excuses in these tweets.
He's channeling his inner Wilder.
Exactly. Like, talking about, well, I didn't live exactly like a boxer. Motherfucker, you're a professional boxer. Like, how are you supposed to be living?
Aside from that, if you was fighting Ugas, if you was fighting Danny Garcia, keep doing what you're doing, and probably doing what you're doing is what you was better than him anyway. But look, to say that after you was about to fight the fight that we have been asking for 5 years, that you didn't live like a boxer and you wasn't ready and all this, like, what in the actual flying fuck is going on?
I agree. I agree. And, I don't know, bro. I didn't like it.
No. I tell you what, I like that ass whooping, though. I've seen it 12 times. I've seen it 12, 13 times.
A lot of people are talking about, man, I didn't get my money. Oh, believe me, I got my money's worth.
Oh, yes.
I was happy with every dime that I spent for that fight.
And then something to come on PBC, too. PBC was having a big year. They put on a lot of the fights, and we joking talking about the PBC. It's just a lot of the fighters that just all of a sudden go into hibernation mode, and you don't see them for like 18 months at a time. But PBC was one of the driving forces behind how well 23 performed, and with their back against the wall. Shout out to Showtime Championship Boxing. I don't rest in peace, I guess, on the other that like HBO Boxing.
That's why we got the big fights, because their back was against the wall.
Touche, and they was probably hoping they could save something.
It's like Paramount what Dana White said at one point. Boxing was having a going out of sale, sale. and that's how it was in 2023 for PBC. They were having a going out of business sale going on, and
hey, here's our best product.
Here's our best product, but obviously it it wasn't enough for Showtime to want to re-up, and now we're on the Amazon Prime. So
hey, I'm cool with it.
Oh, I'm cool with it too.
I'm fine. I mean, streaming platforms seem to be the future anyway. So I'm cool with it. I mean, as long as PBC's got good fighters. They just need to have that consistency. And that's what we lacking. But they were a driving force behind how good 23 is. And Canelo now is back on his PBC kick. And go ahead and get everything you got out for Jamel now. Because I know you got some pent up animosity on that performance. Shout out Canelo stepping back up in the game, and he's the reigning the face of boxing, baby.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of debate right now who the face of boxing, and supposedly Devin Haney has entered the picture. I don't deem that to be a fact, Jack.
Not yet,
but
he's got potential. But no, it's clearly between Canelo Alvarez and Gervonta Tank Davis, or as he goes by now, Abdul. What is it? Abdul
Wahid.
Abdul Wahid.
With no disrespect yet, but in all honesty, as soon as I see his first fight promoted as Abdul Wahid, I will call him Abdul Wahid. But until I see that, and he ain't changed Twitter, he ain't changed nothing. We referring to him as Tank Davis.
That's fair.
Yeah. That's where I'm coming from with it. So
I mean, it's like, look, it's like what I alluded to earlier. Jermell Charlo made me look like that I did not know jack shit about boxing.
Ruined your parlay.
Now again, we're not going to talk about that. But look, it's like I said, I loved what Mel did before the Canelo fight. I loved how he was getting after it, avenging it. Like it was like a throwback. Okay, he was kind of like a throwback fight. I get it. He wasn't beating killer after killer after killer. He still had some quality names on his resume. He was still fighting good fighters, but I liked that he was doing things that at that time not a lot of other fighters were doing.
Right.
So, and the reason why I picked Jermell Charlo was because since Canelo has came to 168, and I have died on this hill countless times. I have said this over and over again. The game plan that Canelo uses at 168, where he does that thing where he likes to beat on the arms, beat on the body. He likes to methodically break people down over the course of a 12-round fight, and then he looks for the knockout in the later rounds. He did that with Callum Smith, even though he didn't knock him out. He got the decision.
They showed
did that.
Beat the shit out of his arms though.
He did that with Caleb Plant. Did that with Billy Joe Saunders. On top of that, in his last previous fights, Canelo, I'm not saying he was looking washed or anything, but his cardio wasn't. It wasn't the same as when it was, obviously a few years ago, and that's to be expected. He's getting a little bit older. He has been in 60 plus fights.
Yeah.
So obviously he's got wear and tear. But I just felt like that if Jermell Charlo could execute the same game plan that Dimitri Bivol did, if he could weather the storm, and with Canelo beating on his arms, beating to his body, I felt like, and if he could stick and move for 12 rounds, and I did say, look, if Jermell Charlo wants to be undisputed, if he wants to beat Canelo, he's going to have to be perfect for 12 rounds. But he didn't even do any of that. He wasn't game. He didn't come to fight. He literally, he said it himself, he came to survive. He came for that Canelo paycheck. And
he succeeded in that, because like you said, if we want to look at it, Canelo didn't really have the same success of injure to Jermell that he did to like you said, Callum Smith, even though he didn't get the knockout, to Billy Joe Saunders, to a Caleb Plant. You look at Jermell, he really didn't look like he'd been in too much of a fight.
No.
His arms didn't really look too swollen, not all beat up. He did so by his goal. He survived. He eked out with a moral W. Mm-hmm. But I guess all in all, like I thought Canelo would win, like, we debated. But again, I can't help but actually say that I feel where you coming from. I thought Jermell had the tools in the bag to actually go ahead and get the W. But I just didn't know if we talk about it. Canelo's always up on the scorecards 2 or 3 rounds. That seems to be a deploy when he's fighting. And now all of a sudden you got Jermell Charlo coming in trying to take away an undisputed. He didn't do enough. That's what we talking about. When you coming in and you fighting for Canelo's belts, you want to take his belts, you definitely didn't go up in there and take his belts.
He didn't
by
do enough.
Any means necessary.
AG, he didn't do shit.
I know he didn't. And that's just the tip of the iceberg for 168 division. Back it up a little bit further, we could back to Benavidez and Plant. Benavidez is vying for that Canelo fight. Benavidez definitely deserves that Canelo fight.
Absolutely, 100%.
That's the fight I want to see next at 168. That's top 5. We about to get into it here later. We could get that. We could wrap it up with that. My number one, we want to see coming up is Fury Usyk, and we'll go through a list. But Canelo Benavidez is a fight that I needs to see. We need to stop beating around the bush at 168. Benavidez has stepped up, done his thing, fought Plant, put him away decisively. Didn't get the knockout like Canelo did, but triangle theory don't work. Benavidez stepped up, did his thing, and then boo-boo. Man, I don't know whether to be happy with Benavidez's performance because I'm excited for a Canelo fight, or did boo-boo just really boo-boo in the bed? Like, what happened there? Like, my man Demetrius Andrade not only shit the bed, but showed he basically, I'm not so sure he deserves more fights going forward. He's going to have to take it back a step and build himself back up, because it's not looking good for Boo Boo after that performance.
Not at all.
He didn't quit. He took it. He
quit. He
took a respectful. No, but I don't even want to say quit. I'll say retired, because Boo Boo was fighting. Demetrius Andrade was fighting. I don't want to say he took a beating, but he took a beating. Ryan Garcia didn't really take a beating. He took a hit in need and gave up. Got up on 10 and said, I'm out. Boo Boo fought till he was really eating him. And he had to have really encouragement to say, nah, you good. You've had enough. So,
I mean,
all respect to Demetrius Andrade, but his stock kind of dropped. God.
No, I agree. I agree 100%. Look, early on in the fight, I think I even told you, like, hey, because I've been the biggest Boo Boo hater out there. I've been one of his biggest critics, okay? So early on in the fight, I looked over at you and I'm like, hey, so far he's making me eat some crow, because he was outboxing Benavidez. Now, granted, I'm not saying he was piecing him up by any means, but he was doing his thing early on. And I don't know if it's a collection of age, because he's 35, 36 or around there. I don't know if it's because of that and the fact that he did come up a weight class. And I think I read some, I don't know, but I read somewhere that he was 190 on fight night. So that is a lot. That is a lot of weight to carry
on that Alex Pereira shit.
So I don't know. It could be that he did shit the bed. It could be, I don't want to say he's aged out, but I do think age does play a factor. And I think it's a collection.
I guess he just ain't Bud, huh?
Bro, nobody's.
I mean, Bud's 36, ain't he?
Bro, that's like saying, why can't this quarterback be like Tom Brady? Bro, there's only one Tom Brady. It's just like there's only one Terrence Crawford.
You just had to go there. You just had to go there.
Absolutely.
But still, I get it. Age does play a factor, but I guess, you dealing with what better BF. He about to be 40 next month. I mean,
hey, we talked about
he's looking like he's in his prime.
We talked about Inoue being a monster. Better BF, that motherfucker's on another planet.
I mean, that's again. Better BF just stepped up, did his thing against Callum Smith. Let's move on up to 175. Bivol was on that day of reckoning. I mean, Bivol, bro, we talk about him. We've talked about him years ago when we first got hopped up on this. Bivol seems to fight at the level of his competition. If he fights a C-level guy, he's putting in a C-plus performance just to pass the test and win. If he fights a B-level guy, he's putting in that B-plus performance to get the dub and win. If he fights an A-level guy, he has put on an A-plus performance to get that win. So we've seen the best from Bivol, and he looks great. But when he fights the C-level guy, and we think if we see the A game, this will be a walk in the park. And all of a sudden Bivol just takes us on a ride, and it's a boring ride. It's the teacup ride. It ain't even a roller coaster. It's a fucking teacup ride.
Dude, it's unbelievable how it's really crazy if you think about it, because to me, I still have Bivol in my top 5 pound for pound.
Yes, Bivol is smooth.
You know, it's crazy because people will talk about, and I don't know what's going on with ESPN and all these other pound for pound rankings, but somehow, some way, Canelo is still ranked above him, and I don't like that. Obviously,
yeah, I'm not feeling that either.
Even though me and you both agree that's inaccurate, that shouldn't happen.
I just think they give, a lot of them. Honestly, the only reason, just what you alluded to earlier, even though we've already had the matchup face to face, and I feel like Bivol would do the same thing at 168, whether or not don't matter, is because Canelo's came up a couple divisions, is a multi-division champ, and has fought a few bigger guys who we thought was good, fought the smaller guys. He is, he definitely is a good pound for pound guy. He's arguably, to me, top 10. But to have him in that top 5 range and over Bivol, I don't agree with.
No, I don't agree with it. But let me ask you this, okay? Why is it that Dimitri Bivol, who we both agree is top 5 pound for pound, why is it that he gets criticized for fighting Canelo coming up a weight class? Because I'm being dead serious right now, AG. I'm not kidding.
He dared to be great. What you mean?
Listen, I like all these Canelo nut huggers are talking about, Canelo, he dared to be great. He's coming up a weight class. You don't become pound for pound top 5 pound for pound. You don't become a pound for pound great when you're fighting someone coming up to your weight class. So why is it that we get to criticize Dimitri Bivol, but then when Canelo fights Jermell Charlo coming up not 1 but 2 weight classes, and all of a sudden it's Canelo daring to be great? It's Canelo is him. Canelo is pound for pound number 1. Canelo is this. Canelo is that. It's fucking lunacy. It's crazy.
I mean, I feel you on that, because I was even wondering too, because you remember it was supposed to be Jamal jumping up to 1, but then it come to find out it was Jamel jumping up to 2, and you didn't hear none of those. You ain't hear nothing like that.
When Tom Brady throws the ball away, he's smart. That's a high IQ play. He's living to see another down. But when Aaron Rodgers does the same fucking thing, he's scared. He's a bitch. He's not a leader.
Hey, just speaking facts of the matter. Shout out Skip Bayless. But to what you alluded to, it seems to be okay. It's just a narrative. It's back to where it don't fit the narrative. Canelo, I give him that. Canelo's the face of boxing right now, but that don't mean I got to put him ahead of Bivol on a pound for pound list when I think Bivol would do that again to him at the 168. So now the juicy fruit of that is better be Evan Bivol. And the Saudis have said that they want that fight.
Thank you again to His Excellency.
Oh my goodness. Thank you.
And
yes.
check it out, because His Excellency, he does not just only want to put on the best fights the fans want to see, but he's done with that misfit boxing shit. Man, he's done with that YouTube shit. He don't want no more. He don't want no parts of that anymore. So again, thank you to him, saving boxing 1 fight at a time, bro.
Real fights make money. Real fights make money, and you could talk about how they might be over forking to get a lot of these fights happening. But again, there is a lot of return. Essentially, anytime you can overpay and not get on your return. but you can miss your margin by 5% and you can miss your margin by 75%. And I think the fights that they putting on are going to garner revenue enough to where they'll continue to do that, because essentially knowing that they'll be the ones to put on the mega fights, they'll bring those fans back, knowing the ones who kind of getting back on board, the ones who were used to the good fights. What's the main thing a person to tell you who's not a boxing fan today, a casual, or even worse than a casual, somebody who don't watch them? They'll give you the excuse, oh, that's like a running narrative for boxing in America these days, is that boxing, they don't fight the best. Everybody's ducking. Why watch it? Because the best ain't fighting the best. Too many belts, all that shit. You can come up with 2 or 3 excuses. If it becomes a running narrative that this certain promotion, which all the fights, even though they're going to do cross promotion, which we got the Matchroom versus Queensberry, which that seems to be legit, you're still going to know who's going to put on the great fights, and you will gain more fans. Back to that. I'm a boxing fan because I know who puts consistently. They putting on the fights we want to see, and if Better Be Evan Bivol is next, shout out, shout out.
I mean, look, and this is a big if, because I do love what I see from Better Be as of late, because he's not just a headhunter. He's not just trying to knock you out, but he shows some tactician in his game. Better Be can box. Like, he has skill. So
he ain't Wilder.
But hell no.
He ain't looking for that one punch knockout. He got one punch knockout power, and he'll break you down and bust your ass in 4 rounds. But he's boxing technical, like you said.
But I mean, if Dimitri Bivol puts on a masterclass and you do that to Better Be and you do that to Canelo, I mean, that's Hall of Fame right there.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if they can make that Better Be Bivol happen, then they getting 24 off on the right start, picking right up where 23 left off.
Hell yeah.
So that brings us to the heavyweight division. Supposedly the top tier division of combat sports. The heavyweight division. The premier division of combat sports. As of late, it ain't always been that way. No. But when the heavyweights is rocking, they big news. And the day of reckoning was a big heavyweight day.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely it was. And I mean, that card in general, bro, I mean, shit, up until Bivol, man, I mean, cause it was stoppages after stoppages, knockouts after knockouts. Like, bro, I was hoping that we were gonna see an all knockout card, but
it was looking that way for a while.
But Dimitri Bivol and Wilder had to fuck that up. So
yeah, so Jai Opetaia looked good, quick knockout. Bivol looked like Bivol, like we talked about. Who else was on that? Was Filip Hrgović on that card too?
He looked good.
He did look good. And then that one fight was nice. The other guys, man, I can't even remember their names, but the underdog, he come in and just straight Daniel. He reminded me of Aspinall.
No, and also Daniel Dubois fought.
Dubois
when he came back from the Usyk fight. I mean, to get the stoppage in the last 10 seconds. I mean, shit, good for him. Good for him. But
because the other big baby wasn't looking too good.
No, not at all.
But on to Wilder and Parker. Wilder's stock drop. I mean, I think we've always alluded to Wilder not being any type of tactician when it comes to boxing. He's waiting for that right hand. And if the right hand don't come, he's not really having much success.
No, not at all.
And he got exposed by somebody else not named Tyson Fury. Even though he's been exposed before others, I shouldn't say he was getting exposed until he get the knockout. Even Luis Ortiz, other fighters we can name where we see him losing clearly on the cards. He's losing a boxing fight. Bam, here comes the right hand. Sleeps him. And there you go.
But I was getting ready to
Joseph Parker beat his ass.
I was getting ready to mention that. You go back to the Luis Ortiz, King Kong Ortiz, in that second fight. I mean, he was losing damn near every round, if not every round. And then, what do you know? He's got the kiss of death. You know, that right hand, and he puts King Kong Ortiz down.
He puts motherfuckers to sleep with that shit.
I mean, he did. And granted, Tyson Fury's been knocked down several times. You know, got knocked down against Ngannou. We'll talk about that here in a bit. But to put him down 5 times over the course of 3 fights, I mean, that still speaks volumes to his power. So we know he has all-time elite level knockout power, but the thing that was, I feel like, was riding for Tyson Fury was the fact that he was the only guy to really withstand Wilder's power and, you know, obviously to beat him.
Yeah.
And I feel like with Joseph Parker, granted, him and Fury are pals. I'm sure he worked with them in camp, sparred with them, you know, said, hey, this is what he's
gave
good
him all
at.
the tips and tricks.
Gave him everything. And Joseph Parker is no slouch by any means.
No, not at all.
But when he comes in and beats Wilder down, doesn't get knocked down, never in any real trouble, because in 2 of the 3 Tyson Fury fights, in the first fight, Tyson Fury gets knocked down, and, you know, he rose like Lazarus to come back and arguably won the 12th round.
Project Lazarus.
You know, and then in the 3rd fight, gets knocked down twice in the 4th round. You know, he's looking like, hey, can Wilder actually pull it off? So for Parker to come in and to really beat on Wilder and bully him, because that's what he did. He was also able to bully Deontay Wilder as well.
He did. He took him out straight from the get-go too.
I mean, bro,
deuced on him.
That really hurts Fury's resume. Like, and not only does that hurt his resume, but I've always felt that Wilder did have an outside chance of the Hall of Fame. But
yeah. I mean, with that knockout, of all the great knockout, he just has the least boxing abilities.
Mm-hmm.
And man, that hurt. We remember that, and that hurts. We know he's lost a lot of rounds. You know, the boxing skills just ain't there.
Well, and I was gonna say, you know, I thought he had an outside chance of going to the Hall of Fame. You know, because of his story, because the Hall of Fame in boxing, it's like the Hall of Fame in every other sport. It's a case-by-case basis, right?
Yep.
So when you look at Deontay Wilder, you look at his career, he starts, if you look at his story, he starts boxing late to help support his sick daughter, goes through the amateurs, goes to the Olympics, works his way all the way to a bronze medal. A bronze medal, like, that's still damn good.
That's overcoming a lot. Hell yeah. Especially with the rig, I mean, you want to talk about rigged? That Olympics boxing is rigged, boy.
And he comes up and he gets a bronze medal. And then he has his pro career, wins the heavyweight championship of the world, and has 10 title defenses. Like, I mean, that alone would have put him in the Hall of Fame. But I feel like
without reading between the lines, yeah.
But I feel like him dropping that fight to Parker and dropping it as bad as he did, I feel like that kind of decimated any chance, whether it be outside chance, whatever, that decimated any chance of him getting into the Hall.
I don't want to say decimated, you know. I really feel like he still has that outside shot. Hopefully he redeems himself, comes back, fights somebody else, and maybe gets the knockout, and we back to kind of, which I doubt will happen. But to your point, everything you already said is already, without reading between the lines, is outside chance Hall of Fame worthy. And I really feel like they'll have that memory when they do talk about him. They'll bring that up. And knowing that what he did with the knockouts and stuff, I really do think he does still have an outside chance. That's just something. I just didn't want to say decimated. You know what I mean? You know, I'll agree with you. I'm wondering if we almost recognize that Wilder should be, I don't want to say he should be declining, but a lot of greats had the stumbles late in their career as they got older, like we talked about. You know, so should we hold it against him? Probably. But still got that, to me, Deontay Wilder still got that outside shot.
Okay.
So, and you know, you talk about Fury's resume not aging too well. He got plucked again the very next fight. Triangle theories don't work, but AJ over here putting on what seems to be a masterclass performance against somebody Fury didn't struggle with, but definitely allowed to stay in the fight
longer than what he needed to be around for.
Yes.
So, you know, I don't know, and I think you've alluded to this on past episodes. I think we've even talked about it a little bit. But like when Tyson Fury is, you know, on social media a lot, making videos, tweeting, you know, talking, and I get it, you gotta sell a fight. That's his personality. That's what he does. But usually that's Tyson away from boxing. Like, that's not him focusing on the sport. But here recently, we haven't seen anything on social media from Tyson. We haven't heard anything from Tyson. And I feel like right now, as he's preparing for Alexander Usyk, he's taking it more serious, right?
Better.
But is that a fair assessment?
Yeah. But he better.
No, I agree.
Yeah, but it's from the outside looking in, it seems to be like he is focusing down. He's getting ready.
Mm-hmm.
But I just hope that, you know, I sure as hell hope we don't hear no spin shit about I wasn't living a lifestyle boxer after Usyk go ahead and puts his dick in the dirt, like I've said past. I want it, so I believe in it. You know, that's why I'm rolling with it. I'm just rolling with it. I mean, shit, this is the last boxing topic before we move on, before we wrap this episode up, clean it up with some Dana White and the UFC. But we'll talk about it here soon. We definitely getting back on the ones and twos before then. But Fury Usyk is upon us.
Mm-hmm.
The picks got to be done. Opinions got to be made. Predictions got to be said. And I'm leaning Usyk. I believe it. So I want it. It's coming to fruition. And if Fury don't get his shit together, he's going to have a lot to fucking deal with Alexander Usyk. I know that.
I agree 100%. I agree 100%. But I still like Fury. I still feel 100% confident in picking Fury. Look, yes, he arguably lost to Francis Ngannou. I get that. And that shouldn't have happened. You're the lineal heavyweight champion of the world. Okay? But again, it's like what I said earlier. Tyson Fury, you know, he was all over the place. He wasn't taking Francis Ngannou seriously. Francis Ngannou is not like a Conor McGregor or a Nate Diaz or any of these MMA guys coming over just to get a bag. Francis Ngannou is not only, you know, a student of he's a student of combat sports. Okay, look, when he lost to Stipe Miocic the first go around, he dedicated time, effort, a willingness to learn to get into wrestling. And what happened when they met in the second, granted, Stipe was a little bit older, but he flattens him like a fucking cheap lawn chair.
I don't want to hear that Stipe's a little older shit if he fighting John Jones.
We'll get to that later. But, you know, it was still a great comeback. You know, it was still your favorite word, residuals, when he was working with Kamaru Usman, who was the pound for pound king at that time, known for his wrestling. He worked with him. He got better at it. And not only did he use that to beat Stipe Miocic, but a lot of people didn't think he was going to beat Ciryl Gane a lot of people, me included, picked Ciryl Gane, and he utilized his wrestling to win that fight. So when I look at Francis Ngannou coming in, he wasn't just coming in for a bag. He's coming in to be a boxer. He's
looking good so far.
He takes time in the gym to learn the craft. He puts the work in. You know, it's.
And now we got him and AJ coming in March, official too. So
exactly,
got a lot. We got a lot to look forward to in the heavyweight division. So it's definitely coming around.
But again, but look, my point, real quick before you go on. When Tyson Fury is focused, when you get a focused Tyson Fury, that is a dangerous Tyson Fury. This is a hill that I'm willing to die on because we have seen it time and time again. So I'm picking Fury. I think we're going to see a little bit of the Tyson Fury when he fought Vladimir Klitschko. We're not going to really see him like when he came in against Deontay Wilder because Usyk is going to be too quick, too elusive for all that. So Tyson Fury is going to try to change back Father Time a little bit. And we're going to see a little bit of the Tyson Fury that beat Vladimir Klitschko, and that is how he's going to win. He's going to win it by a masterclass unanimous decision.
I think it's gonna have to be a masterclass because I just don't see Usyk laying an egg. You know, regardless if Fury gets the dub.
Why not? Why not?
I just can't.
He arguably laid an egg against Daniel Dubois in his last fight.
I get it. It was a low blow.
No, that's not what you were saying. No. Don't
it was close.
Don't be doing that, dude. Don't be doing that because we're on the show now.
No. First, hold on. Watch that motherfucking tone, son. Watch that tone. I've said from the beginning that shit was questionable. But I mean, there's a certain listen. As a man, I would hope you know this.
Cause I got the receipts, bro. You said Usyk caught a break. Cause I got the receipts.
He did catch a break because it was close. It was a swing. But I will say, as a man, there's an area you can get hit in that I consider to be a low blow without necessarily getting hit straight in the nuts. And it seemed like they could be that area. But again, still close. Did he catch a break? You damn right he caught a break because that could have easily went Tony Weeks. Just stoppage.
Hey, speaking of which, bro, he's been on some bullshit.
Oh my goodness. And then may everybody's favorite referee have a great retirement.
Man, Kenny Bayless, salute.
Shout out. But lastly, to end up on that, you know, he did, and real quick, I just want a simple answer before we ride off onto this UFC. Is you think Fury's gonna get the dub? Is there a potential that Fury could beat Usyk as bad as Bud beat Spence?
Absolutely. This is why we need the fights to find out these answers.
Touche.
You know, look, nobody predicted Errol Spence to get his dick put in the dirt the way that he did. Nobody predicted that. Not me, not you, Bud Bud did, okay.
Said he's gonna have him do the stangy leg, and sure enough, guess what he was doing? He's doing the stangy leg.
But no, none of us boxing fans, none of us boxing enthusiasts, connoisseurs, whatever, none of us predicted this shit. So, yes, I do think there is a possibility that Fury can put an ass whooping on Usyk, but it's vice versa. There's a chance that Usyk, there's a shot that Usyk can put an ass whooping on Tyson Fury.
Yep, and we less than a month away, I believe. So, and UFC just put on another great year too. I'm glad we back on that because we was on a little UFC hiatus for about, I want to say probably about 6 weeks. So last time we picked up on the UFC to talk about what's happened over here, we ran through the list. Volk Islam has happened. The first fight, if go back to that episode, my overall prediction for money, bread was basically spot on, except Volk didn't get the dub. Like to allude to the point, Volk went ham for 25 minutes. Even when Islam was having his success on the ground, Volk was over here making solid contact, was in no threat of getting really submission. I think maybe once, twice, maybe out of 5 rounds, 25 minutes. But to me, Islam didn't do enough to really go out and stand out and get the W. To me, I thought Volk solidly won 3 rounds, an arguable swing for the 4th. And then you got some that are claiming 3-2 Islam, arguably swing for the 4th his way. And it basically worked out how I said, except I thought Volk was going to share that decision. I said it was going to be arguable, that close. When you got pound for pound, number 1 and number 2, I just think that you're going to get fireworks. And we got exactly that, except Islam eked out the dub. And then we fast forward to the second fight. Volk steps up, wants to smoke, and it on week's notice, and it didn't quite go his way.
No, not at all. And I mean, look, I think if I remember correctly, my initial pick for the first fight, I did pick Islam to win, but I thought he was going to do it in much dominating fashion.
Yes.
And there was reasons for it. I mean, look.
No doubt.
I mean, look, the previous fight, he absolutely dominated Charles Oliveira. At that point in time, he was the greatest 155-pounder on planet Earth, and he made him look like he was nothing. For all the talk that Islam didn't fight anybody, that he didn't deserve a title shot because of him beating Bobby Green at that time. He went in there and he put on his own masterclass and absolutely dominated Charles from start to finish. Then he goes and he fights Volk, and I agree with you. I thought Volk won the first round. And a lot of people, some professional fighters even a lot of MMA fans, they couldn't grasp why Volk was still ahead of Islam in the pound for pound rankings, even though Islam squeaked out the victory. And it's simple. Look, just because it's a different sport doesn't mean it's a different rule for pound for pound is pound for pound. It's the same exact shit that we talk about in boxing. It's all it is.
Yeah, same concept.
Same guy. You got 2 fighters, same height, weight, reach, skill set. Put those 2 in a cage, put those 2 in a boxing ring. What are they going to do? And Volkanovski, being the smaller fighter, came up a division, arguably gave Islam Makhachev his toughest fight in his career, besides getting knocked out early on in his UFC career, gave Islam his toughest fight and arguably won. And people had a hard time grasping why he was ahead of Islam in the pound for pound rankings. And then, like what you alluded to earlier, they had the second fight. Volk comes in on a week's notice. A week's notice. And wants that smoke again, like with that same guy. Absolutely.
The same dangerous guy.
And I said, look, and again, I do my best to keep that same energy. I said, even though Volk was on a couple weeks notice, if Islam could dominate Volk, I would have no issue with him being the pound for pound king. And that's exactly what he did. So I give credit where credit is due. I do believe that Islam Makhachev is the best mixed martial artist on planet Earth right now. And I think he deserves all the praise. No different. It's a
bold statement.
No different.
It's not out the box, but it's bold.
No different than what Terrence Crawford did to Errol Spence.
Oh, who's putting up that performance? Talking about Islam putting up that Bud performance?
I mean, I'm talking about in terms of, getting his flowers. Like,
yeah. Okay. I get what you're saying now. Talking about the way you walk it, like I've alluded to before, walking out the ring. How did you perform inside the ring matters, and it's not necessarily the win or the loss itself, and same thing with Volk walking out of that second fight, knowing how he walked out the first fight with that L. in a lot of people's eyes, his respect in stature went up. Second fight, he takes the bad knockout, but it's like on a week's notice, you recognize it for what it is. What we talk about, what you always say, fighting with house money. Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, you gotta. It's a built-in excuse, like that's even respected, so to speak. It's like, man, you really jumped in on like 7 days notice.
But if he would have won and pulled it out, I mean,
that could be argued as one of the greatest single victories or overcomes. Like that'd have been insane. Yeah, if he gets that just
makes his career that much better.
Yeah, and it's already as far as a UFC career, clearly Volk is definitely one of the best to do it. I do like me some Volkanovski.
I mean, look,
I was gonna say
look, real quick, in my opinion, Volkanovski, I know some people like to just go ahead and give him the title, but I think Volk is closing in on becoming the greatest featherweight in MMA history.
Closing in on Max?
No, I still think, I don't even have Max as the GOAT. Like, for me, it's still Jose Aldo.
Okay.
I still think he's the greatest of all time, and I get it. Aldo, he lost to Max Holloway. He's lost to Volkanovski. He's lost to Conor McGregor. I get it. But what he did in the WEC era, coming up and reigning over the featherweight division for 10 years, I mean, that's still an impressive feat no matter how you look at it. So I think Volk is closing in on becoming the GOAT at 145. And I mean, dude, he's still a special fighter. I mean, he lost to the better guy. I mean, there's no shame in it. But all of his losses have came at a weight that's not his. He's had two losses come at 55, and then he had his first loss at welterweight. So I mean, he's never lost at 145. So I still think he has a lot to look forward to, and I think we still have a lot of greatness from Volk to see in the coming years.
He pulled a page out of Canelo's playbook. Dared to be great. He
ain't like he ain't gonna be making an excuse like Canelo. Don't do that to Volk. Don't do that to Volk.
The Sugar Show. How much respect did the Sugar Show get after defeating your favorite paper champion?
I think he got a lot of respect. I mean, when you knock someone out, you knock someone out. Well, no, I take that back. No, because we talked about it earlier. With with Garcia and Teofimo, like in their comeback fights, they got the knockout, but they didn't look good overall. That wasn't the case with Sean O'Malley. Yeah, I know all the judges gave round 1 to Aljo, but it was a swing round. I didn't really think Aljo did enough for you to say, oh, he definitely won that 10-9.
Right.
I think it was a swing round, and round 2, obviously he catches Aldo. Aldo's coming in, he's reaching in, and then O'Malley hits him with that right, and it puts him down to the canvas. And then he goes in.
He's always had that surprise factor. I really feel like Sugar Show has always, when he fights, you don't know what you're gonna get. It's because the fight before that, talking about bad performances, he put on a fight that he wasn't too happy with. Talk about he's got to go back and watch the tape. So hey, Sugar Show, I really feel like you never know what you're gonna get with him, and when he is on, he's fireworks.
Well, it's like,
and I think he showed that with Aljo.
It's like what you alluded to earlier when we're talking about Teofimo and Josh Taylor, because Aljo, yes, he had I don't even want to say it's a nice little title run, because the fact is his title run, it wasn't that impressive, and I'm not saying that to be a hater. I'm saying that because it's true. When you look at how he won the belt, I mean, in that first fight with Peter Yan, he's getting pieced up. He's losing that fight. And then, he gets the knee to the face. He wins it by disqualification. And then a lot of people didn't like how he acted afterwards. Because he's acting like as if he went out there and actually took it from Yan. And that's not what happened. And then when he rematches Peter Yan, he arguably loses that fight 3-2. I'm not saying that Dana White's word, is law, but even he thought in the post,
Dana White word is bond, bro.
Even though
when Dana White says it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. If he said it, he's either done it or it's about to happen.
Again, I'm not saying his word is law, but he thought Peter Yan won. A lot of people thought that Peter Yan won. And then he fights TJ Dillashaw. And granted, he dominated TJ from the jump. But TJ also had he had a bad arm. And I get it. You don't want to make excuses. You don't want to, but it's
not
like
up
I've
in
said,
here.
But it's like I've told you before, and it's like what you've told other people. Injury's a double-edged sword. Okay, it's
super sharp.
It's gonna be bad no matter how you look at it, because in this case, TJ loses. People are like, well, that's an excuse. He wins. Cool. It adds to it, but
my main thing is, when do you come out? If you have said injury, when do you come out with it? To me, the timing is the key of that, the double-edged sword. But,
right.
One side of the blade being before, one side of the blade being after. Go out and win. If you win, say what you want. If you win the fight, my back is broken. Spinal.
No, I mean,
so winning, you can say what you want.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So before or after. So if you say it before, you making an excuse, building it in. But if you say it after on an L, then it's like, no, now you making aftermarket excuses. So,
well, it's not even that. I was gonna say that obviously the injury wasn't that bad to the point you had to pull out of the fight. So it feels like no matter what you say, you're still gonna lose. So he does that with TJ Dillashaw. And TJ Dillashaw, I mean, you could see his arm, his shoulder, whatever it was. Like, you could clearly see it wasn't good. And then he fights Triple C coming out of retirement.
Wasn't good.
He fights Triple C coming out of retirement. And I'm not going to say that Triple C won the fight, but it wasn't a fight where... And I'm not saying Triple C had no business being in there with Aljo, but I'm saying, like, it just wasn't that impressive. So when you look at Aljo's run, from the time he won the title by disqualification all the way up to the Triple C fight, his run just really wasn't that good. But
yeah,
after that fight, but look, after that fight with Triple C, I gave him his props, because at the end of the day, he's finding ways to win. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters, is winning. I get it how you win matters, but when you're constantly finding ways to win, I mean,
at the end of the day, the W is the main thing.
And again, you look at Sean O'Malley before the Aljo fight. When he was coming up through the ranks, he was captivating. He's knocking people out left and right. But what was the biggest question mark? The biggest question mark was, well, who's he fought? Who has he knocked out?
Yep.
So he gets his first big test, and it wasn't as electrifying. Sugar Sean wasn't really, doing the things that Sugar Sean normally did in a fight. And then eventually that fight gets ruled into a no contest, I believe, from an eye poke.
Yep.
If memory serves me correct.
Yep, you're right.
So then they gave him a second shot against Peter Yan. Now, at the time, Peter Yan was still a dangerous fighter, still very good. He was coming off he was coming off some bad luck with Aljo, losing his title by disqualification, and then losing a close fight in the rematch. Takes Sean O'Malley into deep waters and arguably wins. And then that's like what you said earlier, when Joe Rogan DC, when they're interviewing and asking, hey, did you do enough to win the fight? O'Malley's like, look, I gotta go back to the lab and watch it. Yeah. I know this was not my greatest performance. And then he comes out.
But you knew what you was gonna get, though. Hey, I rewatched the tape. Yeah, I won. No doubt. I won that bet. like you know what you're gonna say, but at least he was humble enough to notice with the crowd to not toy with the crowd, because you got a lot of fans out there, and when they know you was just in a close fight and you won a type of fight that could have went either way, and you go up in there and you kind of like say that you really think you won by a stretch, that ain't gonna look too good. O'Malley he played the crowd right. He played it right.
O'Malley should have got on his Adrian Bronner and been like, man, I beat that boy. I beat that boy.
He got cooked. He got cooked.
But no, like I'm saying.
Yeah.
So,
but Sugar Show wound up getting his flowers. I'm glad he got his flowers.
Aljo didn't have the greatest run. O'Malley was coming off some questionable performances, and then he comes out and he starches Aljo in 2. So yes, I do think that he got his respect. Yeah. Now obviously he's got to keep it going.
Definitely. And Dana ain't gonna let him sleep.
But yes, I do believe that O'Malley was able to redeem himself, even though I don't really think he needed that redemption. But he did. He got his respect, and now we gotta see what 2024 waits for him.
Nah, I'm hoping 2024 don't keep John Jones waiting, because the last of all last, that what we need right now to cap off this mega episode, I need Stipe to step aside. I need a healthy John Jones and Tom Aspinall now. I need that. I'm cool not seeing Stipe against John Jones. I don't know if you want to see it. I don't know if the masses want to see it. My take, I wants to see Tom Aspinall take on a healthy John Jones when he gets back. And I know he's running that cap. They both running that cap, and he's saying he got wait in line. He's handling Stipe first. I just want to see John Jones back, A. But B, if I could get that Aspinall fight instead, give me that Aspinall fight. I just can't wait to see John Jones back. We had the appetizer. Now is he gonna do us again? Is he gonna go on another 18, 20 months? Come on. I need to see a top tier fight. Then he could do whatever he wants. Ride off into the sunset. I'm cool with that. Because I don't think there's anybody else, and Francis ain't coming back. Francis is gone. See ya. Francis is in boxing.
I mean, look, before he lost to Tom Aspinall, I was big on Sergey Pavlovich. Still am. Still think he's a dangerous fight for anybody at heavyweight.
Yes, he is. First 30 seconds of that fight, Tom Aspinall looked like he was in trouble.
So, I mean, for the longest time, I wanted John Jones to fight Sergey. I did. But, and this is for all the John Jones fanboys, whatever you want to call them. I can get why they say what they say about, well, they need to wait in line, or, you know, because of this reason, because of that reason. You look at John Jones, and he's arguably the GOAT. I know you appreciate greatness. I know you love watching greatness.
Love greatness.
But at the same time, it's like, you kind of got to be real with yourself. And John Jones has had a very long, controversial, but successful career. And he's fought killers after killers after killers. Shogun, Vitor Belfort, Sugar Sean, Evans.
Yeah, the list goes on.
Goes on and on and on. Yeah. You know, so I don't want to say Stipe's an easy fight, but you know, for a retirement fight, and that's what it is. It's a retirement fight. You know, I don't think we're gonna see John afterwards. I do. I think this is his last rodeo. I just think that we're gonna get John Jones, Stipe when John's healthy.
And he's going to call that quits? You don't think he's going to want to face no Tom Aspinall after he puts away a Stipe if he does?
I don't.
Okay. That's definitely something we definitely going to see over time, you know, whether or not that comes to fruition. Because once a healthy John Jones comes back and gets a victory, again, anytime John Jones is coming off a victory, that stock is riding high, and it's gonna take a lot for him to want to say no against Tom Aspinall.
And when
is he ducking?
I mean, it's like what we said before. When we see
how long and how many times do you have to keep fighting a young gun?
When we see a great fighter, we always want to see more. We always want to see the next great fight, but great things come to an end. And
yes, they do.
For John Jones, like I said, even though he's had some controversy throughout his career, he's had a successful career. He's without a doubt the greatest light heavyweight of all time, and he's arguably pound for pound the greatest mixed martial artist of all time. So, if it is the last of John Jones, then I can't wait to see him and Stipe go at it.
Then we satisfied. Well, this weekend we got 287? I mean 280. Boy, I'm blown. It's been too long.
Godfather moment.
That's a Godfather.
Well, earlier, here's the thing. You laughed about that.
Godfather.
Shout out to Marlon Brando. When I was naming off the guys that John fight, man, I said Sugar Sean. I'm like, no, bro. I'm talking about Rashad Evans, bro. I'm not talking about Sugar Sean.
You correct. I'm talking about Rashad. You corrected yourself a little bit. But can't wait for that to happen. John Jones definitely on the rise, and then like we said, got Strickland this weekend with 297. Can't wait to get that popping. And the next episode is gonna be great. And like you said, all great things must come to an end. So,
but not combat conversation. Not combat conversations, bro.
Already is going on. But anyway, y'all already know what it is. Make sure y'all check us out. We on all the podcasts. We on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music Podcasts. We on all that. Make sure you check us out. Hit us up on X. Hit us up on Twitter. The old school Twitter. I got me saying it twice. That's how excited I am to be back with this mega episode. So it was good to be back on the mic with you, bro. I appreciate you on the mic.
Same with you, bro. Glad to be back.
Because next episode. Peace.